Welcome everyone, and welcome to our annual webinar. Today, as we do every year, we have a panel of our faculty and the match students, and then we'll discuss the upcoming match 2020. Believe it or not, the season has already started. It ended like last week, the last season, and we're up in the next season now. Just a couple of housekeeping items. You are all on listen-only mode, so you cannot type in, or you can actually type in, but you cannot speak. It just disturbs the flow. We will take Q&A at the end, and I also posted a website if you want to just put in your questions there. And we will start with a quick round of introductions. My name is Pawan Khera. I'm a faculty at Carnegie Mellon. And we've been helping IMGs for a few years now in their match journey. So let me move on, and we'll go across the virtual roundtable. And before we start, so Rahul, do you want to start?
Okay, sure.
Good
morning, everyone, or good evening. My name is Rahul Panala. I'm a gastroenterologist, and look forward to sort of going over this, and I'll turn it over. We have a big panel, and very excited, and we're very proud. So I'll move on to maybe Nishant.
Yep.
Yes. Hey, everyone. Good morning. I'm Nishant. I'm one of the PGY3 neurology residents, and I'm here to answer any of your questions, and we'll go on further to George.
Hey, good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is George, and I'm a research fellow at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, and I matched into radiology at the University of Arkansas this year. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, George. Let's go just across as I see the screen. So Dakshita, you're on next.
Hi, good morning. So I matched in pediatrics in 2019 match, and I'll be answering all of the pediatric related questions.
Thank you. And Diksha, you're on next.
Hello everyone, my name is Diksha Borkar. At present I'm a dual degree student at the University of San Francisco, and I matched into a pediatrics residency at the University of Minnesota this year.
Thank you. Umehani, now that you have access. Your audio is not coming across. I think you need to unmute your phone. You need to dial in from the number I gave you. Yeah. Once you're on, just let me know. Let's move on to Ishita.
Hi everyone. Good morning. My name is Ishita. I'm a research associate at Wayne State University, and I've matched into a combined medicine pediatrics program at Wayne State University this year. So if there's any questions related to research or anything I can answer, I'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mary, let's move on to you. Mary, can you hear me? Your audio is not coming through, Mary. I think you're also on mute. So if you could unmute or dial back again, the number I gave you. Noorjahan, let's go to you.
Yeah. Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Noorjahan, and I matched this year in internal medicine at University of Missouri, Columbia. And for me, I'm not expert by any means, but of course I can share my experience. And the special thing about me is an old grad. I graduated in 2006. So if you have any questions about, how to cope with the gap and anything, then I will be happy to share my experience. Yeah, that's it. And thank you for having me, Pawan.
Thank you. And Stacey, I missed you earlier, so you want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, my mic wasn't connecting. So I'm Stacey Thomas. I graduated from the Caribbean Medical School. I'm currently researching at Mayo Clinic. If you have any questions about Caribbean.
Stacey, could you speak up? We're not able to hear you very well.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, I think, yes, now it's better.
Well, I'll say it again. I'm Stacey Thomas. I graduated from the Caribbean Medical School. And I'm currently researching at the clinic. If you have any questions about research or about the Caribbean medical school system, please reach out to me.
Okay. So Ume and Mary, are you now back with your audio? Ume, let's try with you.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes. Now we can.
Hi everyone, I'm Umehani Malvi. I matched into internal medicine this March 2019, and I'm here to help you all with how to match on average scores and low number of interviews.
Thank you. Mary, are you back on with audio? Okay, so there is some problem. Mary, you have to use your phone to dial that number. Use a separate phone to dial that number I gave you. Okay, let's move on, and hopefully Mary will be back soon. So very quickly, what we do for those of you who are not aware of who we are, we help IMGs in every aspect of the match other than the exams. So we don't coach for the exams, but whether it's your IRADA application, personal statement, interview prep, looking for electives, USCE, program selection. So pretty much the entire gamut of your USMLE journey after the exams. Obviously post-interview communication, and if you get into SOAP. So everything from the electives, externships, application till the match. So look us up on our website. I will make it very short. How we do it, we have a unique model. We do classes, so each student, they have access to our classes, which are done in the same format that you are seeing. So it's all online, all on audio, video, like we are doing it today. In addition to that, we have a very strong one-on-one advisory with our students. So we assign physician mentors to our students, especially in one of these plans. And then we also have a closed community, WhatsApp, Telegram, where it is run by our physician mentors, and we advise our students in a group setting also. So we are a very closed community. We believe in a one-on-one advisory along with the classes on all topics you need to know for the match. We do have a diverse panel of attendings, residents, U.S. journalists, especially when it comes to PS and CV. All details are on our website, so do look us up. Our results, ending this season, we've had more than 700 students in the past few years, 24 countries, a very high match rate. Pretty much all the specialties, including some of the very tough ones from an AMG or IMG perspective. So again, results are on our website. We haven't updated for the 2019 match, but multiple profiles, multiple attempts, multiple kind of score range, year of graduation. We have every kind of student, IMGs, including Caribbean, non-Caribbean, all over the world. So enrollment for this next season has started. Again, look us up. We are on Facebook as well. We just started a new website that you can see at the bottom. This is for the USMLE FAQs. If you have any questions, you can also post it here. We monitor it. We will try to get to those questions. Our aim is to get this website as some kind of a Wikipedia of USMLE. All right, now let's get into the meat of the presentation. I'll give it to Dr. Panala to quickly go over the match trends and factors, and then we'll move on with the agenda.
Okay, thanks, Don. So can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Take that as a yes. Okay. So yes. What I wanted to do was just set the sort of the stage up, just to kind of give you a feel for what we see in terms of the data, in terms of the match, and what has happened over the past few years. I think what the biggest thing I wanted to convey is that I think this is very doable. I think you have to go about it in a very sort of methodical and a strategic way. It's also important to understand what you're up against and how you really should plan. And this is, like I say, a journey, and you have to really plan for every step of it. And, all the students and all the, they're going to go over different aspects. Everybody is different, and the journey is going to be different for everyone. So you have to be very strategic about how you plan for yourself. Now, while it's a tough journey and we've all been through it, I think there is a lot of reason for optimism if you look at the data. So if you look at the NRMP data that I pulled from their website yesterday, this is for the 2019 match, there's about 38,000 applicants for about 35,000 positions. So that's a very doable, ratio. And interestingly, there's been an increase in the PGY1 spots. There's about a 7% increase in PGY1 spots over 2018. And there's about 16,000 primary care spots, the usual specialties that international graduates apply for, the internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics. So one thing to know about, which is interesting, is there has been a steady increase, as you all probably know. The osteopathic applicants, now the match is going to be together. So there's been an increase in osteopathic applicants, and they're primarily focused on internal medicine, but primarily on family medicine. So for international graduates, family medicine may become a bit more challenging. But the non-U.S. Citizen INT, which is international medical graduates coming from other countries who are not U.S. citizens, it's actually, the number has decreased to about 6,900. It used to be roughly in the 8,000 range. So there has been a slight decrease in that. But the IMG match rate, and this is IMG match rate both for U.S. citizen IMGs and for non-U.S. citizen IMGs, the numbers are actually very, very similar, is about 59%, and that has been the highest in 20 years. So what I take away from this is that if you plan properly, if you do your, if you're strategic about it, you've got more than a 50% chance of matching. And I don't show the data here, but about 40% you can match into your first program. So I would say start out with a lot of optimism. Things are quite good. And now if you look at the usual categories or the specialties that international medical graduates apply for, and this is data from 2016 all the way to 2019. I think it got cut off here, but basically this is the blue is 2016, the red is 2017, the orange is 2018, and the blue is 2019. And so you can see internal medicine, you see a steady rise. Family medicine, you see a steady rise in the number of spots. Pediatrics and the rest of the others are about the same. I think psychiatry is stable, but all of the others show a slight rise. Pathology is stable. The point being that the number of slots are either increasing or are stable. So you really should think that if you, again, I like to take, the takeaway here is that there is optimism, there is potential, there are opportunities available, and you just have to believe in yourself, and you really have to say, I can do this. As you can see, everybody here in the panel who's done it and, who's gone on to a very successful medical career. Now, this is, again, a big picture view going back to 1982, just to give you a flavor that, and to tell you that we're in a good spot here. U.S. seniors always have about a 95% match rate. These are U.S. IMGs, non-U.S. IMGs, and a bunch of others. So others typically include osteopathic, pathway, that kind of stuff. But if you look at U.S. IMGs and non-U.S. IMGs, it's a cyclical curve, but right now, going from about 2015, and this is about 2018, we are on an upward trend. And again, it goes back to about a 58, 59% match rate. So all in all, I would say from my perspective as, starting when I applied for residency in 2002, so that's going back many, many years ago. I think things have gotten much better for INTs. The usual goes through a little bit of a cyclical phase, but I think I would say that you should be very optimistic. You should be strategic and really make this happen. Now, when I talk about when we look at the data of why this is important and why this whole process, the journey is important, right? It's important because of this. An average program has about 7 spots that for a residency, but they get about 1,000 applications or 900 applications for 7 spots. So everything that you do in terms of your scores, in terms of your personal statement, your application, your everything, is all designed for you to stand out in this pool of 900. And they send about 100 interviews for about, 120 interviews for about 7 spots. So roughly what it turns out to is for every spot they invite about 10 people. And roughly interview about 10 people. And while they rank 82, you see the drop-off from 900 to 82. And so you need to distinguish yourself where you are coming from this 900 to 82, but you're also at the top of this 82 applicants so that you're able to match here. If you look at this graph, approximately half of the applications are taken out in a standard screening process even before anything, before they even look at your application. So what is that? It could be, it could be anything. It could be scores. It could be visas. It could be this sort of screening is more sort of what their criteria-based screening is. Like, if you don't meet the score criteria, if you don't have a visa, if you're year of graduation. So every program sets up its own whatever criteria they are. But once you get past the criteria and when people look at your application in depth, the quality of your application is what matters here. So for example, when I take a look, let's say at a fellowship application or an advanced fellow application, if there are typos, if they, if it's poorly written, if they haven't had the, the carefulness to make sure that there are no spelling mistakes, that, if I'm seeing spelling mistakes, if I'm seeing things like that, I'm automatically going to have, create a really bad impression on that application. So that's where, it becomes very important, something that you can do to make sure your application is the best application that you can put in. So that becomes very, very important. Now, this is a busy slide, and I'm going to put an insert which shows the top 5. But this answers the question of what do program directors look for when they call people in for an interview. So if I'm a program director, I'm looking at a stack of applications. What are the most important factors that I'm looking for? And what you can see here, the top 5 are basically your scores. I mean, for international graduates, I think this is both a step 1 and a step 2 score as it applies to you. So the most important thing is, get good scores, and then the next most important thing is a letter of recommendation. So typically how most experienced people review applications, if you get a packet, you take a quick look at the profile, which medical school you went to, what your scores are, and then immediately most experienced people will go to the letter of recommendation. The letter of recommendations are one of the most important factors. And how do you get good letters? You really work hard during your observerships. You distinguish yourself. And obviously, your academic performance as reflected in the dean's letter, but for international medical graduates, your transcripts, your USMLE scores. And then personal statement and CV become really, really important. Do you have a story? What are you bringing? What are you telling me that distinguishes you from the other people in that stack? What is your vision? What do you want to do? What is it in medicine that really excites you, right? And you could have gone through a tough journey, or you had you overcame adversity. Those are the things that make people stand out. And this could be very different from, other countries or other systems that we all come from, where it's all a merit-based and, who gets the highest score and that kind of a thing. Here, it is mainly that people are looking for a story, right? People are looking for who you are and what you bring. And it's not just the scores. It's your complete package. So always think about that. What am I projecting? What is the package that I'm trying to sell in my personal statement, in my CV, whatever it is? Okay? So once you get an interview, what is the big thing that happens? So the easiest way to think about it is this. Your scores, your academic performance, all this gets you an interview, or what I call a foot in the door. All that buys you is that 20 minutes that you're going to be able to sit across from somebody, the program directors, associate program directors, and get to tell your story. And in that 20 minutes, at that point, the clock gets reset. You have to prove yourself again in those 20 minutes. And you need to convince me why you're different from the other person who I'm going to interview, right? There's 10 people being interviewed for the same spot. You have those 20 minutes to tell me how you're different from the other 9 people that I'm going to interview. So what matters, right? If you look at it, and can you pull up?
Yeah, the next one, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
What matters in those 20 minutes, but basically the whole interview process is how you interact, your interpersonal skills. Am I going to be able to work with you for the next 3 years? Is my other house staff going to be happy? All the people who matched here were picked for a reason, right? You convinced somebody that you would be an asset to their program. And how did you convince them? You convinced them based on what you brought to the table in terms of your academic qualities, but also you convinced someone that, yes, I really want to work with this person for the next 3 years. They're going to be an asset to my program. They're going to project. They're going to be a good ambassador to the program, right? Your interpersonal skills, how you interact with the rest of the house staff. One of the sort of the death blows during an interview could be the residents go back and say, oh my God, that person, I don't know how, anybody could work with that person for 3 years, that would be a big red flag for a program director. And then your scores, your academic performance, and how you just come across as a physician. All those become really, really important. So why am I showing you this data as you prepare for this, right? You're going to start this journey, is do well in your exams, do well in your observerships, project the best application in terms of that, but just that by itself is not enough. You need to, as you get through the interview process, you need to project who you are, what you're bringing to the table, interact well with the house staff, your interpersonal communication skills become critical. So that sort of sets the stage. I just wanted to kind of go over that and set the stage for this, and then I'll turn over to Pawan to sort of go from here.
Thank you, Rahul. All right, so that was a big picture overview. Now, let's move on to the roundtable kind of a format. Now, I want to bring in Nishant. So, Nishant, in your perspective, especially when it comes to neuro and IMGs, what challenges have you seen with IMGs, and how do you think they can overcome specific things you may have seen over the past 2-3 years?
Yeah. So coming to what are the challenges that is faced by IMGs. So Dr. Panala has mentioned what is required. So when I applied for residency, I think there are certain things which I struggled apart, like, not only good scores, but coming from a country wherein the merit list kind of matters, but, there's nothing much like, what that I'm familiar with, like, how to improve my CV. Like, to make an academic CV. And then the other thing is face an interview, because I have never faced any interview before going for residency interviews. So these are things that like I'm not familiar with. So these are certain hurdles that we face. And the other thing is, like Dr. Panala mentioned, a personal statement is you writing a recommendation letter for yourself, like what to bring on, what to bring on to show that you are a unique candidate. So writing a personal statement and how to start and how to finish a personal statement, how to put on a perfect personal statement. So that these are the things which I think are like few common problems that most of the IMGs face. And the other thing is, like I said, developing an academic CV. Not only just gaining clinical experience throughout this process, gaining professional contact also matters. So those are the things which I kind of faced problems. And coming to neurology, I would say scores are needed for any residency, but apart from scores for neurology or any other specialty in that matter, commitment to that specialty is very important. So how do we show that commitment to that specialty is doing certain things which are like more specific in that subspecialty, like gaining more letters of recommendation or gaining more hands-on clinical experience or doing more research. And most of the neurology programs are academic centers. So there's a lot of research going on. So they kind of look for research experiences too, if you have any prior experiences in research or writing abstracts, that kind of stuff. So when it comes to neurology, I think neurology or any specialty, IMGs have to prepare the CV more specific for that subspecialty and have to show more commitment to that subspecialty. And I think these are like few common things which I faced during residency, during like going for residency interviews. And I'm a PGY3 now. I have seen my juniors in 2017, 2018 applying for residencies, and I kind of felt that these are the common problems that most of the IMGs face through.
Thank you. Thank you, Nishant.
Yep.
And of course, feel free to chip in as we move on to the other section. So next up, we want to talk about the role of research, and specifically I want to bring in George and Ishita to see how these applicants molded research as a very unique differentiator for their applications as they match. So George, starting with you, how were you, what all did you do from a purely research perspective, and then how did you sell your research experience as part of your CV and the application process?
Thank you, Pawan. So it started about 16 months ago, and that's how long I've been doing research. So I came here thinking of applying into neurology, and I had applied into both neurology and radiology, and did research in both neurology and radiology and applied to both. I think over the past 1 year, the most important thing that I've received is mentorship. I think the first important thing is having a mentor in research is very important, because we can attempt to do a lot of things and not go anywhere, and we need a mentor to show us the right way, at least at the beginning, or someone to keep checks. So finding a mentor in a good program or wherever you are is very important. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, I've told this to a couple of people who have talked to me just now too. I was telling them, be very aggressive. Aggressive, not in a physical way, obviously, but be aggressive in such a way that you be a sponge. Try to take up as much as possible and try to utilize your potential in as many ways as possible. Obviously, being humble and respectful at the same time, but be very aggressive. Take as many opportunities as possible. Use any opportunity you can to display your skill and your enthusiasm. That's something that's very important. And the third thing is, even though you might do a lot of things during your 1 year, knowing how to write them on your year CV makes a lot of difference. And knowing what to write in ERA CV makes a lot of difference. So for example, over the last 1 year, even just after I bought my token, everything I did, I just started putting headings in my ERA CV. I would write the description later, but I would keep writing the headings so that the entry would be there so that I would never forget what I've done. Because when I went back after my previous ERA session, I realized there were a lot of things I have not written, and there were a lot of things that I just fumbled and didn't write the way I wanted to. I just kept writing the names of useless courses that meant nothing to program directors, you know. So writing things that matter and having people to tell you what things matter is very important. You might do a lot of things and have no output from that, so it's very important. So over the past 1 year, what made the biggest difference was I kept getting involved in as many projects as possible. So not just with one mentor, try to branch out with multiple people, and so that you get to meet more people. So this is how you make connections. So you're successful, and so multiple people notice you. And then a personal tip that I have noticed that I have done, and what I've told people is, try to have as much as face time with your boss as possible. So I don't like using the word boss, use the word mentor. Try to have as much as face time with your mentor as possible. Meaning, if you do a small thing, for example, you've looked up the literature review for some small thing. You go and tell your mentor the next day, hey, you know what, I looked this up and I saw this. So it might not be significant, but it's something you tell your mentor. You're subliminally telling them, you know what, this guy is doing something, he's interested. And keep doing this. In a way, you habitualize them to think that you're working hard, and that's what they're going to put in your letter. For example, even in my letter of recommendation that they had shown me, they mentioned this fact that he came to me every day with his inputs and added educational value to my research. So these are things that they subliminally, you get habitualized to, and then they add it in your letter of recommendation, which is by far one of the top 5 things that are used to invite you to interviews. And research especially is very important in most subspecialties, neurology, and in my case, even radiology. And the next thing is, I don't remember what point am I on now, but the next thing is read the statistics. The latest 2019 NRMP stats for INTs is not out, subspecialty-wise, but I used 2018 stats. So I looked up the number of abstracts, publications, presentations required for a neurology applicant to match, and it was about 7.3. So I decided that, I needed at least that, or even more than that, to at least successfully match. And I also looked up for radiology. That was about double. It was 15.6. So I made sure that I crossed all that number, all those minimal numbers to try to match this year. So I think these things these things have been the most helpful for me this whole season. I will, hopefully if I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
Sure. Thank you. This was very insightful. So Ishita, moving on to you. What was your...
just a second. I would just...
Sure.
Thanks, Pawan. I think George covered it amazingly well. All the points were pretty much covered. What he said about being aggressive, I would also call it being proactive and just taking up any opportunity that you get. I did not have too many publications per se out of my research, but I was able to present posters at various different levels, from like very local to even international level conferences, and I think that helped. If not with anything else, that helped with building my confidence a lot more. And additionally, I thought, my research gave me opportunities to do several different kinds of projects, and that gave me a wholesome research experience. And when I spoke with someone, they understood that this person knows how to carry on a research project. And that was something that I got as a feedback from a couple of my program directors, including the place where I matched, that that's a quality that was unique and different that they found, and they were happy for that, including a community family medicine program that I'd interviewed. They told me that, we always think that family medicine is not high on research and they don't do research, but every program has to do some amount of, even if it's a community level work, they do it. So if they have a resident that is already aware of how to do it and how to carry on, we are happy to have them on board. And that is something they appreciated. Other than that, I think in general, like any experience brings, it just makes you more confident. It builds your interpersonal skills. It helps you just become better as you go on. So I would say just pick up opportunities as and when they come. Do your best and just be sincere and yeah, just be there. It works, I guess. That's what
I think one more point to add to this is this can also backfire if at the time of the interview you're not able to show that level of passion and try to articulate your research in words that they understand. Otherwise, it just seems that you did something that you had to do, right? It's not something that you did out of your passion or something that you did because you wanted to do it. So articulating research and summarizing research is very important, especially during interview season. Otherwise, it can just totally backfire.
Yeah, that's very correct. And making it, understandable for someone who's not in the same specialty. So, got to be subtle.
Okay. Let's move on. Sorry, Nishant, you had something?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, for what George and Ishita has mentioned about research, I would like to just simplify how research helps for IMGs. So one thing, like I said, it helps in developing an academic CV. And the other thing is making contacts. And for example, in my case, I used to do research with a faculty at Johns Hopkins. She said, when I asked her about assistance with my residency application, she immediately emailed to a few of the collaborator research places where she has collaborations, and that's the place I got a research opportunity, and that's the same place I'm doing residency right now. And that faculty, whom I worked at Hopkins, and she has invited me for a fellowship interview at Hopkins. So again, contacts helps, and the other thing is again that shows passion in your subspecialty. So that's very important. And again, the third thing is they can write you a good letter of recommendations because they have seen you for a significant amount of time. So these are the three things that I would like to mention that's how research helps for residency.
Thanks. All right, let's move on. I know Amina and a couple of others have to leave early. So I'll move on to the next topic, which is a lot of older IMGs. And first up with the older IMGs is the transitional year. Many try for transitional year, prelim year. So we do have Amina here, and I think I saw Mary as well. She may have left, but we did want to touch on the transitional year positions that many IMGs try. So we have Amina, who is not really a recent graduate. So Amina, why don't you talk about your experience with the match? Okay, I think you're muted. We cannot hear you. Okay.
Hi everyone.
Amina, I think there's a problem with your net connection. Your voice is breaking up. We cannot hear you. So why don't you fix it? And so I will move on with the older YOG kind of a theme. So Amina, hopefully you'll fix it. So I did want to bring in some of our older YOG students. So Noor Jahan, of course. Starting with you, why don't you just walk us through your journey and what older year of graduation should do?
Okay, so from my experience, what I actually found, the whole journey actually has two parts. The first part is the challenge of getting interviews. Then the second part is how to do well in the interview. Now, when you are all grad, So the problem is most of the time your application will just, sorted out. So how do you actually get to the point? So believe me, if you have a good score, everyone is willing to, look over everything. I mean, of course, year of graduation matters, but if you really have a good score, you can show your dedication and connection. So these three things will help you. Now, these three things actually will play their role in different stages. Like in the first stage, as I said, getting interviews. Well, you have very good scores, you are dedicated, but because of year of graduation, you can get interviews. That's where connection works. By connection, I am not saying that connection will get you, get you to, like, they will assure you to match. No, not that. They can help. They can actually call the programs or refer you. They can ask them that this applicant is really good, but unfortunately, of course, for reasons, there are gaps or year of graduation is long. So can you please review the application, and if you like, can you offer an interview? That's where connection works. So, and this connection should come from senior level. Resident can actually request, but they can guarantee you that the program director will review your application. But that works. So, and another trick I would say, if you can afford, apply all over US to every program. With the limitation of year of graduation. Let's say some program is asking like every criteria you can meet, but due to the year of graduation, you can't apply. I would ask you, go for it, apply. Because who knows, maybe during the whole process, you will know someone and who can refer you, because you have all of the other things. If you even didn't apply, at the end, let's say you actually came to know someone who can refer you, but the thing is you haven't applied there, so that person can't help you. So if you can afford, apply all over. So that's the way to get more interviews. Believe me, I got interviews from half of my interviews are from programs where I wasn't eligible like due to year of graduation. But I went ahead, I thought like, okay, since I already spent a lot of money, I'm going to actually send a few more bucks, just to try my luck. And I ended up getting interviews, and some of those I didn't have any connection or anything. So now that's one thing. And another thing, how to do well in the interviews. You will be asked about your year of graduation almost in every interview. Sometimes multiple interviewers will ask you the same question. So you graduated this year, blah, blah, blah. What have you done after that? So you have to talk honestly that what have you done. So if you have gap like me, I have a gap of 3 years, and that was because of personal cause. And I told them the truth. Now the thing is, what matters most, when you started, how did you proceed from there? That's what matters most. Like if you have you started preparing, then you did that, then a break, then you did that, that doesn't help. Like you have to show them, well, I have a gap, and there is the reason, here is the reason. Then I started, look at me. I have done this, 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 this. I have a good score. I traveled this. I tried my best. I used every opportunity I got. This is hard dedication. This is where dedication will help you. So these are the things. Like I know most of you are already done with USMLE exams, I believe. But if some of you are still working on it, I would recommend, if your year of graduation is longer than normal, like more than 5 years, I would say it's more than 10 years, then of course, please take a score seriously. Like you can tell, like for me, like in every interview, I told, well, I have gap because I have vision. Then I worked hard. Look at my score. I did good. Then look at the duration, like the timeline. I did everything because I really, really want to be here. I just need an opportunity. So if you can show this, I mean, you don't want to say those letters like literally. I'm saying like your way of talking, your way of showing will dictate the interview. Most of the interviewers, they're nice people actually. They are not there to grill you. I mean, if you are honest, if you have dedication, they will know that. So, and another thing, how do you express your confidence? When your year of graduation is too long and everyone is saying that your chances is like really low, so how do you actually keep yourself confident in the interview? So here is the thing, what worked for me, I can tell you that. For me, until the point when I was thinking, okay, I'm not going to get interview, I'm not going to, do well, so it was really horrible. I wasn't confident. My word was like I was mumbling. So when I thought, okay, it's not end of the world, okay, I have gaps, I have reasons. Now I am ready, I am trying my best. If that's not for me, then it's not for me. It's not the end of the world, and I'm not going to show them that I am weak, I am begging you for, mess, or I'm begging you for residency. If you feel internally yourself, then it will show up on your interview. I'm not actually asking you to brag, but I am telling you, like, maybe if you are confident yourself, that I'm not begging, I'm not a beggar, I am trying my best, and I am expecting best for me. So believe me, it will show on your face. You can just tell them, okay, yeah, I'm not doing anything, okay? So these are the things, but I'm ready. So now prepare how you are going to show them that you are ready. And yeah, these are the things I think that helps me. And about interview, few more things, like sometimes we try to hide things. That doesn't help. Trust me, that doesn't help. They are very intelligent. Like you can actually practice interviews to like how to express yourself, but you can change yourself. Like if you try to change, like let's say you are personally A, but you are practicing to become a B. You can't actually do that. They're very intelligent. They will actually keep asking questions until they get to the point A. They will figure out that you are A. So here is the thing, you can change your year of graduation, but you can show your dedication and you can change your score if you are still working on it. So focus on that. And in the interview, whatever they are asking about year of graduation and negative point, just like drag that point to your positive point. Like every time they will keep asking year of graduation, you will say, yeah, there is a gap, but I did that. But I am doing this. So drag the point to the other point. And other thing, like doing observership or anything, try to do that in a bigger institution. That will help you a lot. They pick the LOR from, the letterhead. It doesn't help working in the clinic for months and months. It doesn't help. So just work few months in a good institute with a good letterhead. That will help you. Yeah, for now, I guess these are the things.
Thank you, Nurjahan. Very, very inspiring, of course, your story. Now, let's go back, continuing with this older year of graduation, but I want to tie it with the transitional year, and I want to bring in Mary and Amina. Both of them transitional prelim year. I think Amina just is entering her transitional year, yes. And Mary, you did the transitional year. So let's start with Amina. Amina, are you now, is the audio working?
Hi. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. So tell us, you are also an older graduate, I think 10 plus years, and then you got into transitional. What was the journey? What do you recommend for others who may be in a similar situation?
Yeah, I'm a senior graduate from 2006, and I would say my journey into residency was quite challenging and hard, but I never gave up. I was suggested USMLESarthi in the last hour, and Pawan gave me really tough critical appraisal, which I used it in a constructive manner, reconstructing my CV and application. I had a strong belief that I need to match this year, and I never gave up.
I immediately implemented whatever was suggested by expert team of Sarthi, and I had an advantage. I had done my residency in community medicine back in India and worked in several social activities. I was a regular person in local newspapers and recipient of several awards and recognition. I had worked with underprivileged, orphans, street children, and this interested one program. They called me for an interview. With one interview around, it was really nervous situation, but the mock interview sessions held by Sarthi were extremely helpful. Pawan, Dr. Shaji, and Dr. Iscarius helped me to face interview with confidence. I took Pawan's help in every emotion like fear, happiness, and doubt, and he was simply there for me. What I would recommend is the interview session which is held with the program director is very limited. Like you have just 20 to 25 minutes to prove yourself. So what you need to talk, and you need to prove your passion towards the subject, and you need to be very dedicated and show them and share what you really feel. That is your dedication. It was really tough, but I would say that it is not impossible. It is possible only if you believe yourself and take no as an answer. Keep working on your resume, do some volunteering, and then externship, whatever it helps. Definitely, it is an achievable dream.
Thank you, Amina. Mary, let's come to you. You did the transitional year and now you're moving into categorical, right? So help us walk through your journey and what challenges you face. What are your advice for someone who's now maybe considering transitional year? Maybe they don't know they need transitional year. What is your advice to them?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. See, I match on my first match experience in transitional year, and this year I match into family medicine. Transitional year has opened up a lot of doors for me, a lot of opportunities. Transitional year was a backup for me. I actually applied for it, I think, January, and got interviews, 2 or 3 interviews on February. But if you would like to apply for an advanced position, you could go to in transitional year, but in my case, it was a backup plan for me. So once you're in transitional year, you're basically like a PGY1. You will gain a lot of experience. The way I look at it is that you are gaining a USCE, but also you are getting paid. I remember I had to pay like a month of USCE for $3,500. But this one going into transitional year, I'm doing like a residency training. Like for me, a PGY1, we manage patients by ourselves, of course, with the supervision of the attending, and it is a great experience. It's a great experience that we rotate in different medical subspecialties. Like we have three months of inpatient wards, we have ER rotation, we have medical ICU, 2 months of surgery, and we have electives. So it's basically well-rounded U.S. clinical experience. And if you do your part there, if you really work hard, take the opportunity to shine, your attendings will see your effort. And during match process, during the match, my attending actually back up for me, called programs for me for even like, just not just for the interview, but even after the interview, even before the ranking, they back up for me. So it's really a great opportunity to shine and to learn. And aside from the experience, you also have the door for opportunity for a PGY2. And actually, if I didn't match, I have a PGY2 offer for me. So it's the door, it's the opportunity in transitional year that, that great opportunity for us to get into a categorical year. With me, it's very, I don't have that great scores. I also have a red flag on my CV. So being involved in my transitional year, I think, made a lot of difference in my application. And also, if you couple it up with step 3, what else would the program look for you? You have an experience, a year of experience as an intern, and then with step 3, I mean, you are really putting yourself at an advantage of, over other applicants.
Yeah, thank you, Mary, appreciate. Let's move on. I do want to now bring in a couple of other perspectives, especially starting with Stacey and Diksha and Akshita and Umehani. So Stacey, you are a Caribbean grad and you matched into family medicine. Talk about the challenges that Caribbean grads have. Many people think they have it easier than a non-Caribbean IMG. Yeah. But what were your challenges? What is your advice to other Caribbean grads maybe?
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
So I had actually a couple of unfortunate events when I was applying. First of all, I had to transfer out from one Caribbean school to another, which is considered actually red flags for other residency programs. And I decided to use all my red flags, such as my transfer. I had below average, I guess, compared to IMG's step scores. I did not take step 3. I graduated 2 years back, and I incorporated all that into my personal statement. By doing that, I got the opportunity actually to tell the program directors my story before they even interviewed me. So I feel like that was really important to incorporate everything into your personal statement. And by doing that, I feel like you can tell them everything beforehand and also get the questions that they're going to ask already in your head by explaining everything in your personal statement. Sorry, I'm getting an echo. Can I just reconnect? So I'm just hearing myself a couple of times.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, maybe you need to mute your laptop audio. That should fix it. We're not getting the echo.
Okay, let me try that out. Okay. All right, so can everyone hear me properly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So sorry if I kept repeating myself because I kept hearing it. And so when I went for my interviews, actually, I had a competition with other Caribbean students. There's I guess 100 different Caribbean schools that are out there that you don't even know about, and also a lot of DO students. Everyone thinks that because, you have your green card, your citizenship, it's really easy. It's not. You're considered an IMG at the end of the day. They do look at your scores. They do look at your contacts. So I also believe that if you do really good rotations, it can really help you out. Because I had letters from really good doctors. Even though they did not personally reach out, they gave me the letter, which I felt like was really important. Especially for family medicine, if you have a DO letter and if you're applying to a combined DO-MD program, they do consider you as a strong candidate because there's not a lot of MD-DO rotations out there. So, and also I did research at Mayo Clinic. When you think about family medicine, you really don't think that research is important. But actually, they also consider that because all ACGME requires research. So when you see that a person has research, all these different experiences, I feel like that makes you a stronger candidate even if you have below average scores, if you have a 4 year of graduation, or you came from a really bad Caribbean school. So I feel like you should really put in the effort and eventually you will match. And this was my first time trying for match, but I graduated with 2 years, so you have to have an explanation to why you waited so long, why you took so long to take your exams, everything. So just be prepared.
Okay. Thank you, Stacey. Now let's move on to another aspect of the match. Many students have graduate degrees or MPH, and they use that hopefully to match. So we do have Diksha and Dakshita, actually both of them matched in PEACH. So Diksha, starting with you, especially focusing on your MPH, and how did you use your graduate degree in your applications and in your interviews? How was it like?
So right now I'm pursuing a dual degree at University of San Francisco, which is a master's in public health and a master's in adolescent behavioral health. So I've always wanted to be a pediatrician. My entire CV is about pediatrics and nothing else. Also, one of the reasons that I took it up was you get 2 degrees in the same amount of time as you would do an on-campus MPH for 2 years. You would have to do a dual degree, which is another 15 more credits, but it's, of course, 15 more credits, around $22,000 more. But it's about your interest, right? And my MPH is in public policy, so it's, again, about the interest. I've always been interested in politics, public economies, and other economics as well. So I don't know whether I would say I used it in my application, but it definitely shows your interest in a particular subject. Like, you could just do an MPH and, just for the sake of it. And it shines out. If you do an MPH just for the sake of it, it's visible to others. So, if you want to really do an MPH, do it out of interest. And because if you do get asked about it in your interviews, that why are you doing this MPH? Like, why public policy, and what are you interested in, and adolescent behavioral health. And adolescent behavioral health is a current problem. There are a lot of kids out there who have no idea what they're doing in their lives. So I think one of the ways it helped me was firstly show my dedication in pediatrics, and secondly something which is not pediatrics, right? Public policy and economics is completely different from the field of medicine, but you still want to use it in your medical career, which is interesting. And a lot of interviewees were interested in the public policy and the adolescent behavioral health more than my actual CV. They were actually asking me about it. Another thing I was asked about were my interests and, your hobbies. So that's, I think, a totally different topic to discuss on. But I would suggest anybody who has an older year of graduation and you want to be in the system, an MPH is a good option, but you need to show your interest in it. You cannot just do it for the sake of it. Oh, I have some time, let me do an MPH. It's not that, because it does cost you around $80,000 if you're doing it from a private university, which is expensive. So, you need to make sure that you're putting in the $80,000 for some use. You cannot just do it for the sake of it. And to be able to explain, like, why are you focusing on this particular MPH? You could have done something else, like you could have done USCE, or you could have done anything else, a clerkship or paid externship. I always weigh my options, what would give me more knowledge and what would give me more weightage over anybody else. So I would say, comparing to a paid USCE, I would rather do a paid master's degree, which will add something to my profile and to my pool of knowledge.
Okay. Thank you, Diksha. So, Dakshita, let's take it from here in terms of, you are also PEDS, but not a master's. How did you improve your CV and focus it on PEDS? What were the things that you did to improve your chances in a particular specialty?
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first, let me just start off that when I applied for my application with a very low step 2 score, less than 220. So for all the re-applicants who are thinking or even have a thought of shifting or transitioning from IM to pediatrics in this coming match, there are a few things like you really need to focus on. And it's also for the new applicants who are applying for the pediatrics. It's very important that you at least have one letter of recommendation from a pediatrician. Most of the programs have this criteria in their application process. So if you are an IM candidate, try to get a pediatric letter of recommendation if you really have plans of using pediatrics as a backup. And most of the program directors don't want a resident who's just using pediatrics as a backup, and that's where you need to show that you're really focused on this specialty, and that is also important. And that's where I actually improved my CV with, because my CV, it was very pediatric focused. I had 4 US clinical experiences all done in pediatrics, and all of my letter of recommendations were also from the university, which really helped me a lot because the program director talked about it. So I have to stress on the importance of letter of recommendations from a pediatrician if you're applying for pediatrics. And apart from having a specialty focused CV, I would say that you need to be able to present yourself and show them that you really like pediatrics. Maybe they do know that you're applying for pediatrics as a backup, but how will they distinguish if you're really true or if you're saying it just for a backup? That's where this question, why pediatrics, during the interviews come. I don't know about, I can't speak about the other specialties, like how the interviews go around over there, but for pediatrics, every interview you are going to attend will have this question, and it's very important because they're trying to segregate applicants and see who are really interested in pediatrics. That's why pediatrics, if you're applying, just prepare your answer right from now. It will also help with your personal statement. Applicants from other specialties also, I would say, work on this question. Why internal medicine? Why neurology? Have this question in your mind, because this really shows your drive in this specialty and also shows you are a candidate that's really interested and would strive much harder in your residency years. That's very important. Apart from these 2 mentioned factors, I would say that for your low scores, I didn't actually give my step 3, but I was asked about my step 3 in most of my interviews. When is your step 3 exam? When are you giving your step 3? So if you are a candidate, you have a lot of time, I would say, because you can submit your step 3 score even after you put in your application. So sit for it and try to get your step 3 done. If you have a low score, I would definitely say it would help. At least maybe with if you're asked the question, you could say, I am preparing for it, or I have the date already set, so I'm giving it soon. It's basically because they want to know that you would pass your boards. Residency, they say a lot of things, but they want residents who can pass their boards. They need a specific percentage. So that's where the step 3 score is important for all the applicants who have a low score in step 1 or step 2 CK. And specifically coming to step 1 and step 2 CK, step 1 scores are more important than the step 2 CK. If you haven't given your exam of step 1 yet, pay more attention to it. So this is basically the low scores and trying to apply it for the specialties. Your interest comes first, and your interest is what you show in your CV with your letter of recommendations. And also, I'm not going to touch on the research because it's already been talked about a lot, but a quick point, even if there's any poster presentation or any case presentation in your home country, try to mention it in your ERAS. It all depends on how and what you present it as. It doesn't matter if you've done it in US or in your home country. It matters that you know something or you have the interest or drive in that specific direction. Because I don't have any publications, I don't have any research experience back from US, but I do have poster presentations on really interesting topics from the home country I am from. And my interview did have some interesting questions on those topics, and we had a really fun time with the program director. So yes, whatever you think your CV you can mention it. Just try to remember everything you have done in all these years. even if it's a small matter, the most important thing is you present it in the right way, as George has already mentioned. But don't think that because you've done it in your home country, it's not important. That's the point I'm trying to make here. That's it. I think rest of the stuff will be covered by other people. Just let me know if you have any questions in the meanwhile. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll and we'll come to that as well. So then we are way over our allotted time. So if any of the panelists need to leave, that's fine. I appreciate your time. But last but not the least, a very important question, and I know Umme, you've been waiting patiently. So how to match with fewer interviews? I think that is one topic that many would want to understand, what exactly to do, how to make sure that fewer interviews do not translate into an unmatched applicant. So how did you go about it? What was your experience? Feel free to share whatever you want to.
Sure. I hope everyone can listen to me, and hi everyone. To begin with, I had very average scores. So kind of I had again going through the data of the NRMP and everything, I had in back of my head that I will get less interviews. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for the positive as well as the negative. So first, yes, to begin with, I had 3 interviews. This is my first math cycle. I applied last year, and okay, so now going towards how to improve and not looking back, because I matched and many people like me matched on this. So just sharing my stuff. First of all is CV. I really worked hard on my personal statement. I had like 3, 4, 5 people look at it. The language, the story you need to tell, the spelling mistakes, everything is accounted for. I was also, when one of my interviews, I was also like thoroughly questioned on my personal statement, because I'd like put everything from the beginning of my why internal medicine to why I love, what triggered medicine into me. Everything was in a first statement, and they asked me about it. Second is your CV, how to improve it. Well, when I started, after application, I applied to 2 places for research, and I got into them. So I kind of worked for 6 months at 2 places in research. The good part was that you have to work really hard, because they, at the end of it, they should be ready to give you a letter of recommendation, or maybe they should be ready to contact the programs on behalf of you at the end of the session, when there is the ranking or the list has been made. And I was lucky to get like 2 good recommendations from the heads of both the research places. That's where you can strengthen your CV. It's not necessarily a research, even if you're doing an observership or any USCE. The idea is to be dedicated and to maybe use it as your positive side to get a letter. And I personally believe that letter really helped me, which I got from the people in research, to maybe like rank me higher by the program directors. So that comes with CV. Contacts. These are very important in terms of when first getting the interview, and then also when at the end of the rank order list, or when you're done with your interviews, just again try to approach them. Any contacts you can pull, people you did your elective rotations or observerships like 4 years back or 2 years back, or maybe any contacts can help, because first of all, as people mentioned already, contacts help to get interviews, definitely. Not 100% they will get you interviews, but since you have an average score or maybe low score or not so decent CV, then at least you can they push your application towards the program director, and the program director can at least have a look at it, which is very important, because many a times with your scores, your applications get filtered out, and then there is no chances anybody would look at your application at all in first place. So contacts in the beginning to get interviews. Once you got the interviews, approach them again towards the end, so that they can help you and say something for you to the program director, and they can rank you. Interviews. Okay, so yes, for 3 interviews, going into interview, you have to be really honest with whatever you are putting in front of them. In terms of my interviews, I kind of at all the 3 programs, there were a lot of behavioral questions that how did you do this? How did you improve on this? Questions. So your stories, they help you in the end a lot. Sit down, jog your mind, think of the times you did this. You had, even if this is the time where you can think of everything through the 3 or 4 years you did in your medical school, in your anything which this helped and transformed the best out of you. This is the time. And I luckily did that, and I have a lot of stories to tell in my interviews, and they pretty much were impressed, and they also like counter questioned me on these stories, and I had something to tell them. That's how I improved in the end. That's how you make a mark, or maybe like give them a personal touch to the interview, so that out of like the 150 students, you are remembered as one of the candidates they liked. Or so improving your interviews is very important, because you have a good CV, but low or average score, so you might get like a 5 to 10 interviews, which is kind of rare, but still. But you have to work on your interviews a lot. For me, so my contacts help me a lot, so that is very important, at least to get an interview and get ranked. Other than that, as I mentioned in the beginning, keep base with both the things. You might be lucky and be positive about that, and still keep preparing for the next year or the next cycle of interview as well, because anything can happen. Keep working on your CV. One of the programs, they actually mentioned that we are a community program, and and they touch base on the research. Even the community programs love that you're interested in a different type of arena to learn, to grow, and that's why I think research is important, and there was a lot of discussion on that. And it's not necessary the research should be what you like. The idea is, if you're going and telling them that why you in first place did this kind of research, that is more important. I had a question from one of the faculty members in one of the interviews about what are you doing in this research, and then I was able to tell them that because I have interest in internal medicine, and I connected internal medicine with the research I'm doing. So that kind of helped me, and you have to do it in every question, like just connect it with how and why you like and you want to be and get selected in the program or in the specialty you love. So I think that's pretty much it. And since I'm the last one, all the topics have been touched thoroughly. So all the best, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you. You've been a very inspirational student. So now let's open up for Q&A. I know we are way over, so any of the panelists, if you need to leave, feel free. But let's take 5 minutes to see if there are any pressing questions. I know people have been answering questions. So if there are any questions, otherwise I will type in a URL where you can post questions. We'll get to it. But let us know.
So, yeah, I like to go.
Yeah, Dakshita, I think you had some questions to answer. Yes.
Yeah. I forgot to mention about it actually. Well, to all the applicants with low scores, forget about the CV, but once you get your interview, the most important thing that matters is not your CV or your scores, but how you perform during the interview. And you might get the question, why did you get a low score in your step 1 or step 2 CK? What happened? This is where everyone brainstorms for different reasons. Surgery, accident, I fell sick, or let's just say had some family crisis. Family crisis, whatever may be the reason. The first thing that you need to say is that you need to say that you do realize you did a mistake, or you need to back up, like you're not looking to give them reasons. They don't want residents who make mistakes and try to put the mistake on some other reason. They want residents who can take charge of that mistake and still go on from there. That's what they're looking for in the residents, and that's how you need to approach the question too. So basically, it's how you perform during your interview for all the low, like step 1 or step 2 low score applicants. Work on your interview, I would say, skills, and also your interpersonal interactions, because that's very important. And coming to the step 3 score, which is high or low, which was the question I was asked. Basically for pediatrics, the step 3 score doesn't matter. You just need to pass because the step 3 is mostly IM related, and pediatric program directors don't really care about the score in step 3. They just want you to pass the step 3 and you're done for pediatrics. But if you're thinking about an IM applicant, then step 3 score really matters, because if you want to do a fellowship which is really competitive, high step 3 will help you with it. So basically it depends on which specialty you're trying to apply to and which fellowship you want to apply to later on. And on an average, 220 plus is a good place to be in for step 3. 230 is amazing. It's not 260 for step 3. So it's like 220 is a really good place to be in, and 230 is like you did really good. But even if you get 215 or 217, you're good. 210 plus is good. Yeah. Anyone else can take it up from here.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm just reading the chat, and if there are questions for panelists, don't give out your scores. I mean, we cannot just read the scores and say, will you match, will you not match? Please, I'm not going to answer any questions with scores. Ask general questions. If you have specific questions, please don't give out your scores. Just email us if there is an issue. Okay, any other questions? Did anyone get interviews in Feb? Yes, I can vouch for that. There are several programs every year. Either they're running late or there are new programs. You have to be ready for interviewing till a day before the rank order list is submitted. So yes, people did get interviews in Feb. They did match. How do we approach to get a research? A big question. We had several videos. We will do one more video. A lot of it is just emailing, reaching out to the programs. Yeah, Diksha, you're right. Email. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, there'll be times when you'll have to send out hundreds of emails just to get one reply. So don't give up on that.
Is extending internship while doing MBBS good for USC? If you have electives, yes, of course, it is very, very beneficial. Don't extend it for 3 years, 4 years. I guess 1 year extension typically works. What else? Transitional from family medicine to internal medicine. Oh, okay. In PGY2, that's a big question we are faced every year. PGY1 is family medicine, PGY2 is internal, very rare. There are a lot of funding issues. I don't think this is a good decision. I haven't seen many of this family medicine PGY1 to internal PGY2. Hard to do, not sure.
There's somebody who asked a question about, sorry, hold on. What type of LORs would I need to apply for a dual application to IM and OBGYN? I would say you're on two ends of the spectrum. You're IM on one side and OBGYN on the other side. So you need, when you're applying, you would have to have technically 4 letters of recommendation for OBGYN, which shows your strong approach towards the specialty, and you have to have 4 recommendation letters for IM, which shows again your strong, bend towards the specialty. So you'll have to work on both. And and it's kind of visible. When you put it in your CV, you will technically put both IM and OBGYN in your entire CV because you cannot create two CVs. So it's pretty much visible that, you're trying to apply to two specialties, and they're not even something like family medicine and peds, which are, somewhere interrelated. They're completely opposite ends of the spectrum. So I don't know how much it's going to help.
And there is a related question, old IMG home country residency in OB-GYN, how difficult it is to match in OB-GYN. OB-GYN in general is very difficult. Home country residency helps, but a lot of, we've had students match in OB-GYN, but a lot of research, a lot of association with that program will be needed. So making contact with conferences. I'm sorry.
I had a friend, I had an attending whose wife was applying. She's an INT. She had a home country OBGYN residency, and she had a PhD in women's health. So she matched at Washington, University of Washington in an OBGYN residency. So it's possible. You just need to be dedicated to the field. And of course you are, because you have a home country residency.
Okay. Yes, anyway, I've taken too much time of my panelists, so thank you all. We will stop here. I am going to put the URL where you can ask more questions. I really appreciate your time, everyone. Ask questions here, and thank you again, all my panelists. I appreciate your time, George, Dakshita, Diksha, Mary, Noorjahan, as always. Thank you, and others who had to leave. Thank you, and all the best to everyone.